So for 4 years I laid awake night after night wondering why the hell I couldn't sleep. Hey guys, what's up? I'm just feeling a little bit lonely tonight, so I figured I would turn the camera on and hang out with you guys for a little bit. It's, well, it's not Easter anymore, but it's 2:30 in the morning after Easter. So it is April 13th, 2020. Today marks my 24th day of self-isolation. I'm not as energetic right now. 1, because I'm tired. 2, again, I'm feeling lonely and kind of glum. So yeah, nobody's awake to talk to. Hence the loneliness. I had a thought the other night. I tend to get lonely around this time of night, about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, if I'm still awake. Assuming I'm not like engrossed in some kind of project, like if I'm, you know, baking or working on candles or writing or something like that. Tonight, I am engaged in no such project. I was thinking about it and it's always been a thing. It's kind of weird. I've always had sleeping problems. Always. Not sleep itself, but more like sleeping at night. I can sleep like a baby during the day, or if... now this is where it gets weird. Or if there's another human being in close proximity who is awake. And that includes apartment living. It doesn't have to be someone living with me or in the same room or even my own apartment. If there's people awake somewhere near me, like, I can sleep. It's kind of weird. So we're gonna hop back to like my childhood. We're gonna start there because that's where this whole journey begins, okay? My parents got divorced when I was 4. I have very, very limited blips of memory of actually living with both of my parents in the same house. We lived in my dad's house. I remember obviously what my dad's house looked like because as I grew up, I mean, he still lived there and I went over there all the time and visited him and stuff. So that's not an issue. It's like I have maybe like 2, maybe 3 little blips, just blips, not even full blown out memories, just a blip of remembering living there with both of my parents. And by blip, I mean, I remember standing, like walking up the stairs in the house and knowing that both my parents lived there. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like on the stairs in this memory and I know that that came from that time. And that's it. It's just a blip. I don't even remember what room I slept in. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what we did. Watson, if you knock that jar off the counter, I'm gonna come and remove your feet. Anyway, so after my parents got divorced when I was 4, I moved out with my mom. I remember the room that I was in that house because I was there for a while. It was upstairs. It was like, we had that, you know, that house in the woods, right? You guys might have seen it in my vlogs, but I had a room upstairs because you go up and there's like an outside deck and you go up the stairs and the entrance is like up kind of on the 2nd floor because the basement was partially underground. Like it had an outdoor entrance to the basement, but then it was like the second half of the basement was actually encased underground because there was like a hill. I don't know, it's hard to explain. So the 1st floor, you had to go up the stairs onto the deck. You go in and there's the living room. My mom's room was like right off of that, and then my room was over on the other side. So that's the room that I stayed in. That was my room. I remember being in that room, but here's the weird thing. With sleeping at night, I have no idea how I slept prior to being 4 years old and moving out, because again, I have no memory of that at all, which is kind of weird and honestly kind of sad. And I don't like to think about that too much because I never thought about it before, and realizing that now is kind of, well, it's kind of sad. But I remember having such issues sleeping at night because I would get scared being awake alone at night because I know my mom was asleep, right? I could hear her snoring and we're the only 2 people in the house. And I really don't think it had anything to do with security as far as my dad not being there, because I never connected the divorce with anything negative, because when you're that young, you don't know what's going on. You assume that everything that happens to you is just a natural process of life and you don't know any different. So I didn't know that it was unusual for parents to separate, you know, and you would move out. I had no idea. I didn't know. I really didn't. It wasn't weird to me, and I never had a problem with it, and never once growing up did it ever even hit me like, oh, my parents got divorced, like this really screwed me up inside. Like I really don't think it had any effect on me at all, like not one. In a negative aspect anyway. There were a lot of positive things that came from my parents getting divorced, and I've actually thanked my mother for divorcing my father since being an adult and realizing a lot of things. Not that my dad was a bad guy, but they weren't good together, and that would have been a really toxic environment for me to grow up in. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. Anyway, so like when I was staying in that room when I was younger, I don't know when it started. I really couldn't say. My mom vouched for the fact that before we moved out that I just never wanted to sleep at night. Like she would physically have to come down and hold me and rock me to sleep, and I would pass out on her lap, and then she would pass out in the rocking chair. And there's even a picture that my dad took of both of us just in the rocking chair. I don't know where that picture is. I think my mom has it, but anyway. So I mean, I know this is a thing that goes back. It wasn't a product of divorce or anything like that. But what I would do is I would get scared alone in my room, and this is me remembering my own cognitive thoughts at that point, because I was old enough to think and remember my thoughts and stuff. And I wasn't scared of monsters in my closet or under my bed or anything like that, like a normal kid. I didn't have imaginary friends either, by the way. So, and I never believed in Santa Claus. This is turning into like weird facts about my childhood that made me completely abnormal. Huh. Anyway, yeah, never once was I afraid of like, oh, there's a monster in my closet, or oh, there's a monster under my bed, or ooh, there's ghosts, or ooh, some weird thing in my imagination is gonna come get me. No. You wanna know what I was afraid of at night, sleeping by myself? I was afraid of someone breaking in the house in the middle of the night and killing me in my sleep. I was like 5, 6. This went on for years. Like, this has been a thing. I grew out of it, like, as I got older. It stopped being a fear. Like, maybe it's because I moved my room into the basement when I was like 12, and I had like the whole basement to myself, and it felt really secure, which is dumb because there was an external door, which made me even more accessible to murderers. So my logic just didn't, I don't know. That's a really strange thing for a kid to be afraid of, right? Like most kids have imaginations and they're scared of the monsters in their closets or under their beds, right? Especially me. I've always had like unlimited, unparalleled imagination. I still do. I live in my own little world in my head. My imagination gets the better of me sometimes. It's very vivid and I can't control it. I am able to mentally place myself in a lot of situations and imagine a lot of things, and it has an impact on my emotions and my reality because of how active my imagination is. So like, what the hell was going on when I was little and full of imagination, but was like, poo-poo on your monsters in the closet? That's dumb. I'm afraid of someone breaking in and killing me. And before anybody says like, oh, I saw it in a movie or I saw it in a TV show and it traumatized me or something. Okay, we didn't have TV in my little house in the woods. Like, I grew up 100% without television. We did not have it. Like, not that it wasn't on or they monitored it. Like, we did not have it. It wasn't an option. I never ever had TV growing up, which is why I don't like TV now. It's just not my thing. I hate it. I hate TV. I hate it. And as far as movies go, both of my parents were very, very, very on top of what movies came into the house. My dad was hyper religious, and he would physically set fire to any VHS that my mom thought would be kind of okay, but he didn't approve of it for one reason or another, like The Mask with Jim Carrey. Yeah, he found that at our house when I was young, when he came over to visit. He took it and he told me he set it on fire. Okay, my dad wasn't a bad guy, okay? Don't get the wrong idea here. He was just really adamant about his beliefs and took them a little far sometimes. So, again, this is the whole where that thank you for divorcing him thing comes from. And my mom, she was a different type of protective with that. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch anything scary. I wasn't allowed to watch anything with, you know, adult situations in it. Like, if there was even a scene where people were making out, she would, like, fast forward through it. So I grew up really, really sheltered in that area. So, like, there's no way chance, shape, form, planetary possibility here that I ever could have seen anybody getting killed in any capacity ever when I was young. Ever. In any media at all. And I didn't have any friends, by the way. I thought I was the only child on Earth my age until I was like 6, because I like never saw any other kids until I started going to school. Well, I guess I was 5 when I started kindergarten, but still, I didn't go hang out at people's houses and like secretly watch these terrible movies or something. Like, no, it wasn't like that. So I don't know where this idea came from. I have no idea why I was afraid of that. That's really bizarre to me. And even back then I thought it was strange. I was like, why am I afraid of this? This is weird. Like I often had very mature thoughts when I was little. I remember that. And I remember questioning them. Like I would have the thought and then think, why? And where did that come from? What is this? The stuff that went on in my brain was more advanced than I had the capacity to understand. And I know that makes it sound like I'm being snooty about my intelligence or something, but I'm not. It's like, it's hard to explain. Like I remember having thoughts when I was like 3 or 4 years old that were too complex to articulate. And I honestly don't know how I thought about them. Like, how do you have a thought without having the mental capacity to have that thought? Like, you don't have the vocabulary to support it. You don't have the life experience. You didn't see it anywhere. You know, like you haven't learned enough yet to be capable of the thoughts that I had at that age. And I would give you an example, but I can't think of one. But yeah, so I remember having all these advanced thoughts and not understanding where they came from. So I have no idea why I thought someone was gonna break into the house and kill me in my sleep. That was a really long tangent, I'm sorry. But anyway, whatever, we got all the time in the world, right? Hashtag alone together, hashtag quarantine 2020, hashtag when the fuck is this gonna be over? Jesus Christ. So what I would do is, when it was time to go to bed at night, when I was young, when I was little, I would ask my mom to stay in the room with me and sit up with me until I fell asleep. In fact, my request was for her to stay in there all night, which of course she couldn't logically do. Like, she was actually going to school for her master's degree to teach at the time, and she was also still working. She was teaching. So she was doing a lot while raising me as a single divorced mother. Like, my God. Props to this woman. She's a freaking rock star superhero lady. Like, y'all love Mama Mouse. I love Mama Mouse. She's freaking amazing. She did an awesome job. Like, she always took really, really good care of me. And so she would do it. She would sit in there. God bless her. She must have been so tired. So tired. And my God. But she would sit in there until I fell asleep, which was usually relatively quickly because I felt safe because she was in the room. And then if I would wake up in the middle of the night, which I often did because I just can't stay asleep at night, and I would wake up and she wasn't there, I would get really upset and scared, and I would go and run and get her and ask her to come back. And I know as an adult that's really shitty because, you know, she needed sleep and I, you know, stop being a baby and just sleep, for crying out loud. But, you know, as a child, I was scared. I was alone. I needed my mommy. I still need my mommy. Like, my God, it's been a year since I've seen my mom and I miss her so much, and it's driving me nuts that I can't go see her right now. Like, it's all I can do to not jump in the car and drive to Ohio, like, right now. But I know that that's a really bad idea for so many reasons. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I had that issue, and then I moved downstairs to the basement when I was 12, and my dad built the room for me and made it really, really nice. Gave me finished. It was an unfinished basement, but he finished it for me and turned it into a really, really nice room for me. He was a badass at, like, you know, doing the contractor thing. Like, he built houses from his head. No blueprints. No blueprints at all. And built a house from the ground up. No blueprints. He's done that so many times, and that's unreal to me. The man was a genius. Anyway, so he built this room for me, and it was like my little sanctuary, and I felt really safe, kind of encased, I guess, in the ground. Even though there's an external door, I'm like, nobody's gonna know that I'm down here, you know? Like, even if they do, there was like a door, and then he built like a false wall. Not a false wall, I guess he built a wall, an extra wall between, so there was like the door, and then there was like a little walkway, and then he built a wall, and then this was my room here. So I had my own door, so we locked the basement door, and I locked that door as well, so there was like 2 locked doors. I felt safer down there, and I was getting older, and I was kind of growing out of that. I still had trouble sleeping at night, though. I would always be up and awake, and I know in a past vlog I said the thing about being more creative at night, and because the world is quiet, you know, which is true, but also that's why I have trouble sleeping at night, because the world is quiet. And I feel lonely. Like, I feel like if I'm not being productive, like I need to utilize my productive time. And if I try to lay down to go to sleep, I'm just like super aware that I'm the only one awake. You know what I mean? Like, it's great when I'm trying to be productive and be creative because I'm like, yay, I'm the only one awake. I have the space and energy to myself right now. But if I lay down and try to go to sleep, I'm just like, I'm the only one awake. And it's just, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I don't know. It's like a thing. I just had the worst time trying to sleep at night. And I would go to school, you know, on like 2-3 hours of sleep maybe. I don't know how I did it, because I did marching band and all these extracurriculars and stuff. I did cheerleading, I did basketball, on top of school. And I always did my homework. Like, I was basically a straight A student. So, I mean, I was surviving on minimal sleep and doing all this stuff, and I wasn't like walking around like a zombie either. That's just how it was. So I don't know what that was, but if it was in the middle of the day, oh, boom, I'm out like a light. Or if there's something going on, like, boom, I can fall asleep. It's like something about needing energy around me to feel secure to fall asleep. So I was wondering, I was thinking, like, was I like murdered in my sleep in a past life or something? Because when you're little, if you believe in past lives and reincarnation, when you're little, you're, you know, chronologically closer to that past life. And that's when you still have memories, you know, shadows of memories from it. And that's why kids, you know, they draw pictures of things that they couldn't possibly know about. They know names and locations of people that they couldn't possibly know about. And then as they get older, they forget about it. Because now you're, you know, acclimating to this life, and the other shit fades. Like, I definitely don't have a fear of anybody killing me in my sleep anymore. I haven't for a really long time. I can't remember the last time that thought even crossed my mind. Even talking about it isn't making me afraid of it. Like, no, not a chance. And I'm here alone, absolutely alone. I have cats. What are they gonna do? Houdini's gonna, you know, walk up to the murderer and be like, meow, and just like rub against his leg and start purring, because that's Houdini. So I don't know, it's an interesting theory. Maybe that's what happened to me in my past life, which is kind of comforting to know that I had a past life, if you follow that theory. So that's how it perpetuated whenever I lived with people, like, you know, people I was married to and stuff. Yeah, I was married. And it's gross, I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, like, I would feel more comfortable if they stayed awake. Like, I would always hurry up and try to fall asleep before they could, because I knew they were still awake over here. And if they fell asleep first, I was like, damn it. And I would lay awake for like 3-4 hours. And that's when I started reading at night. I'd just be like, screw it, and I just like pull out a little flashlight, or once smartphones, you know, were invented, I, you know, would use the phone light, and then I would use like a woodwick candle maybe later and stuff, and I just read. And as soon as the birds start tweeting and the sun starts coming up, that's when I'm like, okay, it's safe to sleep. Conk. So that's just kind of been my thing. I don't know. I just cannot sleep at night if I stay up too late. If it's, for some reason, if it's like 11 or midnight or something, I can do it. I can do it. But if it gets to be about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get really, really lonely, because I'm so aware of the fact that I'm the only person awake, and I just can't sleep, no matter how tired I am. Because believe it, I am really tired right now. I just can't. I just can't. I don't know. Because I just get so lonely. And if there's any kind of mental disturbance going on, if I'm emotional about anything, if I'm upset about anything, if I got anything on my conscience, if there's like something that I know I need to do, but I haven't yet, and it's nagging at me, like a bill I haven't paid or something, I can't sleep. I just can't. If there is anything disrupting my peace of mind in any way, I can't sleep. It's awful. It's awful. Now, see, what's weird is that, you know, the thing about there has to be someone awake for me to fall asleep. The only person that's ever been different with is JJ, my boyfriend. We've been together for about 11 months now. Almost a year, yay. Every time we, you know, have a sleepover, as couples tend to do, I fall asleep so fast. He falls asleep lightning fast, like lightning fast. Like his head hits the pillow and he is snoring. And that's never been an issue. It's like I fall asleep very quickly. I'm very comfortable around him. I have no issue falling asleep. Like whether he's awake, asleep, doesn't matter. I'm asleep pretty much instantly. And that is definitely a first for me. And I really think he's probably the only person, aside from my mother, that I really 100% feel safe around. And I've told him this since the beginning. I'm like, you know, I just feel safe around you. Like even when you're not around, I feel safe because I know that you're still gonna jump in any situation and handle it if you can. Yeah, I don't know. So like that's awesome. That's awesome. It's completely out of my control too. Like I can't just choose, oh, I decide to feel safe around you and I decide not to feel safe around you. It's just something that happened. I just feel safe around him. I know. I feel secure around him and it's amazing. Like I know nothing's gonna hurt me as long as he's around. Nothing's going to harm you, not while I'm around. Sorry for my bad singing, I couldn't help it. It was there, I had to do it. Henry's in the window, so if he walks over to the candle and sets his whiskers on fire, just ignore him. Okay, he jumped down, good. Yeah, I guess this is sort of a little offshoot here, but JJ and I are actually moving in together in a couple months. So that will definitely fix a lot of my sleeping problems and the loneliness. Cause like right now, I can't go over there. He has to work in the morning, you know, he's already asleep. He needs his sleep and, you know, I need to be here. Cats. I'm a big girl and all that, but yeah, it just kind of sucks, you know, and I don't have anybody to talk to either. Like it would be different if I could call somebody or text somebody and be like, hey, be awake with me for a little bit, but nobody's up this late. And it can't be just anybody. Like I know a bunch of people are gonna be like, oh, I'm always up late, you can text me. Like, yes, thank you, but it can't be just anybody. It has to be somebody that I'm like spiritually connected with, you know, like my mom. I could call my mom right now. She wouldn't mind if I woke her up and called her. She always likes to hear from me. She told me that. She's like, call me anytime. But I did enough of that when I was little, waking her up in the middle of the night because I was lonely, needed my mommy. So she needs to get her sleep. I'm not gonna bother her right now. It's time for me to be a big girl. Mommy, wow, I'm a big kid now, do. Okay, I need to stop singing. It's so dreadful. Oh my goodness. So I don't know what my deal is. I don't know. Like I don't have anxiety anymore. And that's a huge thing. Like I talked about it before. It's not an anxiety thing. It's not. It never has been because I have had zero anxiety since being with JJ. For almost a year, I have been 100% anxiety free, which is freaking weird. It's weird. Like sometimes I actually miss it because, you know, even though it was terrible, like I'm familiar with it. It's my comfort zone no matter how toxic it was. And it was just gone all of a sudden and never came back. So I'm just like, okay. What? I mean, I don't miss it. That's like an awful thing to say, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's not an anxiety thing. It's just hyper awareness of being alone and awake and alone. And it's worse when it's quiet. I started sleeping with the television on when I was a teenager, and I know I said we didn't have TV, and we didn't, but I mean, I had a television and a VHS/DVD player, you know, so I would watch, put in a movie and fall asleep to it. And then I got with someone who absolutely required silence and darkness to sleep. So for 4 years I wasn't allowed to have the TV on. So for 4 years I laid awake night after night wondering why the hell I couldn't sleep. Knowing why the hell I couldn't sleep, but you know. So I was extremely tired for 4 years. Because I wasn't allowed to have the TV on at all. And that sucked. But of course JJ sleeps with the TV on, which is awesome. Except now I'm used to sleeping without it on because for 4 years I wasn't allowed to. So I gotta get reused to something that was good for me before. It's so dumb. So when it's dark and quiet, like I'm decently okay here in my room with the lights on, talking to you. I'm doing something, you know? I'm not just sitting here. But as soon as I turn the lights off and lay down in the darkness and the silence, nope. Ugh, it sucks. Do any of you guys have this problem? I mean, again, it's not an anxiety thing. It's not necessarily an insomnia thing, because I don't have a problem sleeping in general. Like I said, in certain environments, oh, I'm out. I'm good. I could sleep for 15 straight hours if I'm in the right environment. It's just something about being alone at night. I don't know. This was extremely long. Props if you sat through the whole thing. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. It really helped, honestly, and I knew it would. That was my first thought. I was like, okay, I'm super lonely and I'm starting to get depressed. I need to turn the camera on and talk to my people. So I did, and I feel a little bit better now. Let me know what you guys think about this, or if you have similar issues, or what. Either way, it was nice to share this with you guys and talk about it. And it was a totally random video, totally random topic, but I mean, hey, what else do we have to do right now, right? Right? I don't want to stop talking to you guys. I know as soon as I turn off the camera, it's like I always feel better. And then as soon as I turn off the camera, the silence and the loneliness comes back. I know. Stay with me. Please stay with me. Oh my god. It's okay. In a couple months, it'll all be better, and I'll get to sleep next to my boyfriend forever. And I won't ever have to worry about this again. Yeah, living on my own has been really rough. Like, I've never lived on my own for this long before, and it's really starting to get to me. I don't like living alone. I hate it. I was an only child. Probably should have led with that. I was an only child. I've been alone my whole damn life. I don't need to be alone anymore. Like, I can be alone and live with someone, but being like alone, no. No, thank you. I'm done with that. I'm good. I need my man. We don't even have to be in the same room. As long as he's in the same building as me, it will make me feel fine. Totally fine. Loads better. I don't care. He can be in one room playing video games all day, and I can be in a different room reading a book all day, and I still will feel fine with that. It won't be lonely because I'm not just here by myself all the time and then have to sleep alone. It sucks. Anyway, I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy. Hope you guys are getting some good sleep. I'm not, but I'm gonna try to. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love you. Check out my vlog channel. It's a good time. And check out my candles. I need candle income right now. So check out the description for the link to my candle website so that you can support me and I can pay bills and shit. Because that's like super important right now. Okay, bye.